Now let's bring in June O'Neill, former director of the Congressional Budget Office during the last government shutdown in 1995. She's now a professor at Baruch College. Ms. O'Neill, welcome to Bottom Line. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Is there going to be a government shutdown?
Oh, it looks like there'll be at least a little shutdown over the weekend. It depends what's brewing.
So a little shutdown meaning maybe they may regroup and get this fixed by Monday?
No, I think that if there is a shutdown, which looks more and more likely, and this is a sheer guess on my part, but from what I see, they'll reach like a tentative agreement where they will have a continuing resolution for another week.
Which is something that President Obama said he would not sign off on because he said government can't continue to run like this a week, 2 weeks at a time.
That's true, but now the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee has suggested that they have a 1 week continuing resolution, and then also agreeing to funding the military for a 12-month period. Okay. But it doesn't have the other riders and that might have been on the there was one just like it a week ago that passed the House. It's true, the president said it was a distraction at the time, but it may look like a practical idea at this moment.
If I might ask, because we mentioned you were the former director of the Congressional Budget Office when this happened during the Clinton years, do you see any parallels between them then and now?
There are a few, but there are many that are different. A shutdown did occur, and it wasn't 2 days. It lasted for a few weeks. And what made it seem longer that there was another shutdown because there was a terrible snowstorm. So that shut the government down for another few days. So it seemed like an endless shutdown.
What was the hit to the economy at that time?
Nothing very much. In fact, the economy was in the background. The economy had slowly been improving, and came this spring, there were definite signs of a lot of forward momentum, and that was the increase in GDP and so on that finally brought us the surplus.
Well, the Senate Majority Leader Reid told reporters just a few moments ago that if there is a government shutdown in about 5 weeks, he says that could be a hit of 1% to GDP. Is that accurate?
I think that's highly unlikely, but you know, he'd have to give more details about how he thinks that would come about. Not everything shuts down, obviously. There are partial shutdowns, and there is this distinction between what are essential services and what are not essential services. And I can remember in the winter of '95, '96, it was sort of a joke: are you essential or are you non-essential? But it was. And the one thing that caught everybody's attention was the closing of the passport office.
Right, I remember that, yes.
Which was a big nuisance, but and I would imagine if you were an important foreign policy person, you would get your passport. But if for the average person, it was a nuisance.
Is the atmosphere in Washington more toxic now than it was back then? Because it seems that both sides might be talking over each other at this point.
Well, I don't know whether it was clearer then than it is now. There was an impasse. Some of it was about disagreements about what the forecast was, should be, and CBO got involved. We were asked to do another one because it was clear from our, since August, when we had done our last budget projection, that things had in fact been getting better. And so there was an agreement reached between the president and the Congress that CBO would do another forecast, which was out of sync with the usual. Usually it wouldn't happen until the end of January, early February.
Well, Ms. O'Neill, if I might ask, if there is a government shutdown, what is the hit to the overall economy at this time? Does it really harm the economy? As Senator Reid said, it could harm the fragile recovery that we're seeing taking place?
I think that's unlikely unless it turned into something much larger than what seems to be the case now. It doesn't seem to me. I think that the idea of the 1 week continuing resolution, if that's agreed on, then there will be a shutdown for a couple of days, and they'll take next week to think about what they want to do, because what's looming is much more important, which is the 2012 budget.
Absolutely, yes.
The dollars involved in this one are very small.
All right, Ms. O'Neill, in our last 20 seconds, if there is a shutdown, how do the markets react on Monday? Is there a hit to the markets?
I wouldn't think so, because there isn't, nothing will be happening that will. Libya is much more important to the markets at this point than what's going on with government shutdowns.
All right, June O'Neill, former director of the Congressional Budget Office, now an economics professor at Baruch College. Ms. O'Neill, thanks so much for coming in. Appreciate your time. Thank you.